everybody. Welcome back to the Everyday Night. I'm Joe.
And I'm Jeff.
And Jeff, I have a question for you.
Oh yeah, just one.
No, I actually have 20 questions for you.
Oh, right. Yeah, we thought we would do something that you saw in an article, right?
It was prompted by an article which led me to other articles, and they were 20 questions that are designed to start conversation, get you to know things about other people. And I thought some version of that would be a useful thing and
Sure.
useful to talk about. So,
And fun.
yeah,
We do have a list compiled, and some of them are could be. I think it'd be quite amusing as a sort of a parlor game kind of a thing.
I think so. Yeah. And I think the answers themselves are not the end. I think they're the beginning of a discussion.
Right. Right. So I don't know if we can if we enter into discussions after we answer the questions, we're not going to get through all 20 of these questions.
Well, maybe it's a short answer of explaining a short elaboration explaining the answer, maybe,
Okay, sure.
which could
And
prompt another question, but
and I think we might even launch episodes from some of these answers.
we could very well.
And I would submit to you, sir, that there is 20 questions in our list, but there are 21 questions that have to be asked tonight.
Why don't you ask the first one?
The first one is, what are you drinking, sir?
I have
Oh, look at
a,
that.
yes, garnished even. This
Hmm.
is a version of a penicillin, but spicy.
Oh,
So I use the fiery ginger syrup from Lieber and Company that makes some really good syrups. It's got honey syrup, lemon juice, and Scotch whiskey.
wow.
And it's a variation on a penicillin, which usually uses a ginger syrup, but they have a fiery ginger syrup. So this is a spicy penicillin, and it's garnished with some candied ginger.
And some sort of stick? What are you impaled that poor ginger with?
A stick.
Oh,
A
okay.
it's a heavier duty cocktail toothpick,
Ah, I
so
see.
a
Okay.
skewer. So
All right.
often used for hors d'oeuvres or something. And what are you drinking this evening?
Well, since as it happens, the this evening we are recording is one of the coldest we've had in
Oh,
some time.
yeah.
I'm actually polishing off what was left of the bourbon cream liqueur that I had a couple of days ago, and just polishing that off the bottle. And I think it's a good, nice, warming something.
Yeah.
So
Hot tea, hot chocolate. I've been indulging in those.
yeah, if I'd had time to put together, I thought actually about putting together some sort of a hot cocoa drink for this, and then I just
Yeah,
ran out of time.
I thought about a hot toddy, but this was
Hmm.
suited my mood better,
Right.
spicy mood. So
Ooh, can't wait.
yeah.
Very
So
well, then. To your
just
health, sir.
just you. Mm,
Ah, tasty.
that's quite good. Um, so shall we proceed?
Yes. And these are in no particular order, it seems. Um, some of these, you and I both looked through online lists,
Yes.
and I've sprinkled in four or five of my own in here. So let's begin.
Okay.
So the first question, and this is something that I thought of myself. So what if you could acquire a skill by just downloading it, like in the Matrix, like you just jack in and you spend a couple minutes in a chair and you suddenly have you're an expert at something, what would it be?
It's funny because I used to joke with my design students that eventually that's what would happen. They first day of design school, they get the port installed and jack in. Um, my first inclination was to answer speaking all languages.
Hmm.
but I can learn to speak other languages. What I can't learn to do is singing. And so if I could
Huh.
acquire a skill, it would be I'd choose a skill that I cannot learn because I don't have the facility for it. And so it'd be singing.
Hmm. That's interesting. Do you feel like that is something you missed out on in your life? A pleasure that was denied you by fate?
Well, I enjoy singing privately, and sparing other people from hearing me sing. Um, but I enjoy music, and I really appreciate people who can sing well, and I can hear it in my head, but I can't replicate it with my voice.
Right, right. And
Um,
you have played an instrument before.
I have played an instrument before, and something I'm actually thinking of taking up again. So,
Very good.
yeah.
Very good. And as it happens, quite coincidentally, my if I could get a skill, it would be some musical instrument because
Hmm.
I've tried a couple of times in my life to pick up something and I just don't it's practice is in that sort of a thing is too tedious for me and I couldn't stick with it. If I could just have it, that would be marvelous and I'm sure I
Yeah.
would get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
It's something I'm thinking of taking up again. At one point, I was in high school, I was the first chair bass clarinet in the Indiana All-State High School Band.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a feather in your cap, eh?
Yeah. But I love music. I actually got to play, we had summer band in which parents who played instruments could participate as well. And
Hmm,
so my dad, who played drums, and I played clarinet and saxophone,
nice.
bass clarinet. And so that was nice that we got to do that together. So,
I I've tried it various times to pick up my grandmother tried to teach me how to play a keyboard and I was given a guitar at a young age that I couldn't quite tune. It was the tuning key was too old and worn. I couldn't quite
oh
get it
yeah,
into tune.
yeah.
But um but yeah, and so when I read this question, I was reminded of the sort of the tiresome aunt in Pride and Prejudice, where she says, "Do you know I'm very musical. If I'd ever taken the time to learn an instrument, I would have been quite accomplished."
Uh-huh. Yeah. But for me, it was something that no matter how diligent or practiced, I would not be able to acquire. So,
Okay,
yeah,
that's interesting. Okay,
yeah. So, second question, since you've answered the first, I think, have you?
yes,
Yeah.
yep.
If you could participate in or attend one historical event, what would it be?
Boy, that's a hard one, isn't it? Um, if only one.
I
Um,
deliberated over my answers. Some came quite quickly, and some required some deliberation because there were so many answers.
yeah, and part of the question to me was like, well, if I can go there and participate, do I get to come back to now afterwards? In which case, if that was the case, I thought the the dis- the destruction of the Library of Alexandria, not to
Interesting.
participate in, I would
But
like to be
to
there like
witness,
just before it happened.
yeah, to see what was there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well,
Or maybe bring something that not that I have the knowledge or education to do it, but to rescue something.
yeah. Yeah. Well, so for me, I would attend, participate in would be even better, but even attend the first performance of Hamlet at the Globe Theater in
Oh,
1600 or 1601.
wow. And I wonder would you even be able to understand the language.
I think so. I think
Well, you
it's
know the play well
that
enough
I
that
know the play well enough, and it is that era of language is close enough, Shakespearean language, if you've studied it, is close enough to modern language to, and certainly watching the performance, I'm familiar with it. It'd be interesting to see how different it is
mm,
from the versions that have come down to us. It'd be interesting to see how they play. I mean, I just would be fascinated by that.
yeah,
And it's not, there are all sorts of major historical events that people talk about and witnessing, but that's something I think would be really fascinating.
okay. Related sort of to that is if you could go back in time and change one critical event, what would you change?
I would prevent the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy in 1968.
Okay.
So I've been following politics and actively following politics for a very long time. And 1968 was a horrible year. The assassination of Martin Luther King, the assassination of and subsequent riots, one of which was quelled by Robert F. Kennedy, who was a leader across the board, all groups. And then he was assassinated, and then the the disturbances at the Chicago Democratic Convention and the eventual election of Nixon. So I think it would have changed things. There's a lot that's been speculated about how it might have changed things if he had lived. But that's one thing that it would be interesting to see. Um, there are other events, other things that people talk about, but there are some major historical events that have had consequences that had some positive uh,
Exactly.
outcome as
Yeah.
well. Would I have prevented the Black Death from entering Europe, the plague from entering Europe? Well, look at the rise of the middle class afterwards,
Yeah.
and then the um, um, political movements and religious movements. So yeah, but this is one thing that's was significant in my youth that I would change.
Okay. Yeah, and I thought about some things like you say, preventing some tragedy, like going and unlocking the doors at the Triangle Shirtwaist
Yeah,
Factory, something
yeah,
like that. But as you said, the changes in labor laws that
yeah.
brought that about, while an absolutely tragic and horrific accident,
Well,
it
I wouldn't call it an accident. It was
well, it wasn't deliberately done. It was a horrible chain of events
right.
that led to the
Okay.
tragic
Yeah,
death of several
yeah,
people. But yeah, but that
yeah,
changed labor laws
yeah.
um, and
So what?
made safety. So I thought the Hindenburg
Yeah.
because that seems like something that would be reasonably easy to prevent. And what might have uh, uh, air travel? What might it have become if
Interesting. Yeah. And actually, it wasn't the hydrogen in it. It was the aluminum coating on the skin of the Hindenburg that caught fire. That was the problem.
it was well, I mean, the
Well, the
hydrogen,
hydrogen too, but yeah, but
yeah,
that was problematic because the aluminum skin paint,
you,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, the aluminum kept it burning,
Yeah.
even when the hydrogen dissipates very quickly when it
Right.
burns, but the
Exactly.
aluminum kept burning and kept igniting more hydrogen. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a terrible disaster, but I wonder if someone had said, don't touch that line. There's a theory that there was a static charge from a mooring line that may have
Could have
caused this.
been.
But
There's also been novels and movies and such
oh
about
yeah,
conspiracies and that sort of thing.
sabotage and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
exactly.
I thought that, and I mean the way the question's posed, it's not like you've got to figure out how to prevent it. You can just
Yeah.
change it.
Yeah.
So that's what I went with.
Mhm.
Shall I keep going,
Oh,
or
yeah,
we
yeah.
can alternate? Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Um, and well, a sub question to that, and
Question.
if we were
Yeah.
putting this forward as like a party game or something, you could say, would that thing be something about your life, your history, or world history in general? So you
Yeah.
picked something that was I mean, it affected you personally, but was certainly a world event.
Yeah, exactly.
And mine didn't, the Hindenburg didn't affect me personally really at
Yeah.
all. I'm
Yeah.
just curious as what might have been different.
Yeah.
Um, uh, okay, so now this one is, I think, pretty serious. And if you were on like a first date or something, I think this would be a great kind of question. And it is, what is something that people misunderstand about you? Or what do you believe that about you is misunderstood by people?
People mistake my courtesy as respect for them rather than respect for myself.
Hmm. Okay.
They think if I'm curt and they think if I'm courteous, I'm doing it out of respect for them, but I'm doing it actually as a means of control as well. Um, so they really don't understand what I'm doing and why, and they mistake it sometimes for uh, weakness. I've had people. I'm always reminded when I talk about this of a scene in Star Trek: The Next Generation where there's a I forget the name of the alien, but the Wesley understands that the aliens consider this particular alien
Their culture.
considers
I know what you're
their
talking about.
culture considers courtesy to be dishonesty, and so has to be discourteous to them to and I've actually met with that. I've met people who think that if you're courteous, you're hiding something. So people often they're not as often as they used to, but people misunderstand
Hmm.
what I'm doing or my deliberation in speech or my careful choice of words. And for me, it's a means of self-respect and control rather than respect for them. So people misunderstand that, the
Yeah,
intention behind it.
I can
What?
understand. I
Yeah.
get that. And because mine is similar, but a little tangential maybe, is that a lot of things I say, people take personally when they're not meant personally. And part of it is that I have a very thick skin when it comes to insult and I'm not bothered too much by people assailing my ideas
Mhm.
or my stance on something, and I'm willing to debate it. I'm willing to talk about it, and I I think it's misunderstood that if I am absolutely willing to talk in very straight terms about something, and people see that sometimes, I think, misunderstand that as a personal attack.
Yeah. Um, I expect, and this is through training, I think, and professional practice, I put forward my ideas strongly, and I
Mhm.
expect people to respond to them that way. And then we
Right.
debate that, and there's no ego, it's not, I can let go of an idea, but I'm presenting it I expect you to counter it, debate it, present
Right.
alternatives. Let's work together that way. Um, I'm absolutely used to doing that through, as I said, professional practice and training, and I expect other people to do that as well. And I think that's similar to what you're talking about.
Very, very much. And I've gotten better at recognizing that, oh, this might hurt your feelings. So I'm going to modify what I would have normally said.
Yeah,
So yeah, but yeah, it's a similar thing. I wish
similar
people
thing.
understood that you're not being attacked.
Yeah.
You're we're I I'm giving you my straight thought on this, and I expect to get the same back, just as you said. So
I learned something years ago. It was a discussion. It was a work situation, and somebody put forward an idea. I said, "Ah, a stupid idea because of this, and so on." And we went on, and I said, "What do you think?" And the person said, "I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything after you called me stupid." And
right.
oh, I didn't think I called you stupid. I called your idea stupid, but I'm not going to do that anymore. So I
Right.
don't, it changed the way I present and debate ideas, focusing on the idea, not characterizing them, but focusing on whether they're functional, practical, implementable. But I've also taught and led brainstorms where the first part of it, there's no criticism at all
Right.
because you're just trying to get ideas out. So, yeah.
Right. And I've been trying to, in the last many years, I've been trying to adopt more of a Socratic method of
Mhm.
not simply opposing, but asking leading questions to make somebody think about what they just said.
Yes. Why
Right.
do
Why
you,
would you say that? What
yeah.
led you to believe that idiocy?
Um, the next question. If you could have every bad memory erased, would you?
I don't think I would. I don't think I would. I think that I think they contribute to an education about life in general. Having having
Yeah.
something bad happen to you is part of an education. And if you erased all the memories, you'd erase that education as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I wouldn't. They have contributed to who I am, and that would change who I am. So, the follow-up question was if you could have only one bad memory erased, would you?
Yeah, and I I might, but I would have to think hard about
Yeah.
that. And part of that is this is one I just sort of threw out from another list, but it was like, well, if I erase one bad memory, every time you see that in a movie or in a story,
Hmm.
it causes a hole in somebody's mind,
Yeah.
and it becomes a problem in itself. And in stories, inevitably, you are compelled to find out what it was that's
Yes.
missing.
Well, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Memento.
Oh yeah,
Oh, great movie.
it's fantastic,
Yeah.
wonderful direction. Yeah.
And really unique structure in the movie. A terrific movie. Christopher Nolan, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Really, really good. And my answer is the same. No, I wouldn't. It would change who I am, and so I wouldn't do that.
Let's see. What's the next one is here? Are you more likely to express emotions or hide them?
So it's the answer is the combination, I think, and also control. I will initially my emotional reaction to something, I wouldn't say hide, but I won't express it publicly. I'll process it, and then I will choose how to share my emotions in specific situations with specific people, and often will choose to experience my emotions privately and express them when I'm talking about them, talk about them calmly once I've processed them, rather than to experience them in front of everybody. I don't generally wear my heart on my sleeve. So,
Fair enough. And I would say that's true of my experience of you.
yeah,
And I would say that I'm not quite as guarded.
yeah,
uh, I can, that has changed over the years too. But I am, say, less guarded. I am more likely to my responses are more considered now,
yeah, yeah.
but I am more likely to immediately respond
Well,
and somewhat emotionally.
yeah, let me clarify in that the Stoics said, and Marcus Aurelius said, that between the input and your response, there's a decision.
Yeah.
And I take that decision time, no matter how brief, and I choose how I'm going to respond. So something happens, and before I react, I have chosen, unless I'm completely caught off guard, I have chosen how I will react and can choose to react to in an emotional seeming way, in anger or something, but it's a decision. If I respond to, and if somebody crosses a line, I have already made a decision in advance to respond, that I'm going
Okay.
to respond because somebody's crossed the line. How I choose to do that, it depends on the situation. So, um, but yeah, I will. So there's a decision. So it's not. Again, I think it's a control issue. I don't want to be controlled by somebody else's action, and somebody else's action causes me to involuntarily react. They are controlling me. And so I am choosing how I will react, even if the choice has to happen very, very quickly.
Well, all right. And uh, like I said, I think that my response and again, it depends on the nature of the stimulus, right?
Sure. Yeah.
The uh, I can respond intelligently pretty quickly, but I may not consider I may take less time to consider every single outcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, that's the nature of a quick response.
all right.
Somebody did at one point, a friend some years ago said to me that they thought my ability to know where the lines were and when somebody else was crossing them and to immediately respond, that they admired that.
Huh.
So, well, that's practiced. That is, I know who I am, I know where the limits are, and I know when somebody's crossing them in their comments, their behavior, and I know that I will respond, and I've already chosen to do it. I've already made that decision. The decision is about how I will respond. That's that moment.
Okay.
So cool. Um, if you could choose one person, living or dead, to have dinner with, who would it be and why?
Well, and that's a really hard one. In fact, I have for many, many years, I have kept in my head this sort of nebulous dinner party guest list.
That Steve Allen TV show, Meeting of the Minds.
Yes.
I That was so good. I so enjoyed that. And people did it so well. And for those who are not familiar with it, Steve Allen, uh, TV host, raconteur, actor, uh, the early host of the Tonight Show,
Hmm.
um, had a television series called Meeting of the Minds that would where he would be the moderator and there would be four people from history
Right.
sitting at a dinner table, essentially, talking. And it was fascinating. And there was one like Cleopatra, Genghis Khan, Thomas Aquinas, and Thomas Paine.
Okay.
And it
Thomas
was,
Paine and Thomas Aquinas, that'd be an interesting
well,
conversation.
yeah, it was interesting because I liked Thomas Aquinas, but didn't agree with him. And I didn't like Thomas Paine, but I agreed with him.
Right. Right.
And most people said, contemporaries of Thomas Paine said he was obnoxious, but he was brilliant. And Thomas Aquinas was um, sainted by the church,
Well,
and
yeah.
but I disagreed with a lot of what he said. So,
Now, and my dinner party list has always been of living people, and the
mhm.
criteria was if I became emperor and I could command the presence of anybody to have dinner with me, say a dozen people. And part of the exercise for me was always, well, who is going to contribute to the party? Not just who am I interested in,
Yeah,
but who would make a good dinner companion for a group of people.
that's a different question.
It
Who would
is.
your so what, first of all, what size, and I'm not letting you dodge the question here,
Yeah, right.
but what size of dinner party?
Well, and that it has varied, but it's I say around 12 to 15 people because I
Okay,
think because bigger than that you can't converse with everybody
right,
at the table.
right. I'd go
So
more like eight, actually, but you know,
I
but
just
okay,
I was afraid I couldn't limit myself to eight.
okay. Well, but first, who's the one person you'd have
The
dinner with?
one person would be Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, okay. That's a bully idea.
Really.
Interesting. Why Teddy Roosevelt?
I've always found him a fascinating character. I mean, he is an intellectual, a man of action, a, a diplomat, a politician, all of these, very much a Renaissance person in a sort of in manly sort of fashion. I don't know that
Hmm.
he enjoyed or practiced any arts or besides his writing, which was very good. Um, I don't know that he could, play an instrument or
Yeah.
write a sonnet or anything like that. But I think he was just a extremely interesting and had a incredibly active and interesting life
Yeah.
that I would just
In-
be endlessly fascinated listening to.
Interesting choice. I think you're right. There's a follow-up episode on the historical dinner party. That would be interesting. And we each get to invite eight people, maybe
Well,
something like that.
yeah, maybe we
Yeah.
each get to invite six people.
Yeah. Okay.
But whatever, we'll work on that.
Okay.
Stay tuned for that, people.
Yep. Um, so my person, assuming a universal translator,
Yeah,
right?
well, of course.
Okay. Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay.
Talking about Renaissance man,
Yeah, the
as
original,
the original, yeah. So in the
the
Renaissance,
OG Renaissance
yeah, the OG. Um,
man.
somebody that I've admired for his insatiable curiosity, his thinking, his skill, his just somebody I admire greatly. And I think it'd be interesting.
And I thought of people like that, like Isaac Newton, for
Hmm.
instance, is another one. But I'm not sure. I think I could sit and have a drink with Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Not just
Yeah.
not just pick his brain, but I think he would be just a great guy to hang out with.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. Definitely be interesting. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
where are we? Yeah, what's one thing? What's one thing you hope you're wrong about?
I hope I'm wrong that we're fucked. I hope I'm wrong that the global takeover by authoritarians and oligarchs isn't already complete. I hope I'm wrong that climate change isn't irreversible. I hope I'm wrong that we're fucked,
That we're not. Or you
that
hope
we're not
you hope
fucked.
you're wrong. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
right. That's
Yeah,
one thing I hope I'm wrong about. How about you?
and no, and we are totally congruent on that.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yep.
it's interesting. I never thought I would be this old, but having gotten to this age, seeing, I mean, I understand why old people are so pissed off all the time.
Yeah.
You've
Huh?
seen changes. We've in our lifetime there have been drastic social upheavals in this country,
Yeah.
and so many people, damn kids, so many
Yeah.
people don't either weren't paying attention their whole lives or don't remember and don't wish to be told that the signs are there.
We have, and you and I have talked about education and the problem with the long con of making a of contributing to the stupidity of the populace,
Yeah.
the ignorance, the inability to reason, the inability to think critically, the bread and circuses of social media and
Well, and television
television.
and
So
not just social media, media.
media, yeah. Um, I yeah. So yeah, I hope I'm wrong.
Me too. Huh? I'll drink to
Yeah,
that. Let's hope we're wrong.
yeah, I hope we're wrong. Um, how well do you respond to criticism?
This is another of those things that I think has improved over the years. I think everybody gets a little better over time. People who can't get better at accepting criticism
Hmm.
have got to be miserable people. And as a kid, you want to please people and you want to do well and you want to, show off and that kind of thing. And so criticism is personal. And I think as I've gotten older, um, I mean, certainly you want to defend your ideas and your positions on things,
Yeah.
but being able to having the experience and the humility, let us say, to go, well, that's an interesting criticism. Let me think about that. And I think I can
Hmm.
come to a point where I can accept criticism at least long enough to consider it complete poppycock.
Yeah. Well, I think you and I both have been trained in critique, which
Yes.
is a process of criticism. And I found when teaching that too few of my students would offer any negative commentary, even even critique, even helpful commentary. It was all had to be positive. It all had to be, or they said nothing. It was great job. You worked really hard. No, let's talk about the work. Let's make the
Yeah.
work better. Let's help each other. Doing this is not about tearing somebody down. It's about helping somebody be better. And
Right.
I had to teach students how to participate in a critique, and they had no idea how to do it. And that I think I actually fault their parents, the education system, where it's all it's all I don't know. I think there's a point for congratulating somebody for participating, but that's not the same thing as doing well.
Right.
And um, I just heard somebody say that if 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 you ask somebody what their proudest accomplishment is and they say having children, does that mean that they think that their children's proudest accomplishment will be having children and their children's and so on and so on? Said then we won't do anything other than reproduce. Reproduction is not should not be your proudest accomplishment.
Well,
Raising,
yeah,
maybe raising children who are good
yeah.
people and do things and doing something yourself. And so I think that, yeah, there's a difference. Critique, there's a process for critique that you and I both learned.
Yeah.
And so that's different than just criticism. I did learn quite some time ago, having been in plays, that
Mm.
if I was going to going to dismiss negative reviews, I had to equally dismiss positive reviews. Because then I'm substituting someone else's judgment for mine.
Right.
And so for me, it depends who is offering the criticism and how they're doing it. Is it a rational critique? Is it a bullshit complaint? Either way, I'll listen, I'll process it, and then I'll decide if I agree or I can dismiss it.
Well, and I think part of the process of accepting criticism for me is having learned to to decide whether or not I value the criticism, whether or
Right.
not it comes from a source that I have any respect for
Yes.
whatsoever.
Yeah. That makes that makes sense too.
So,
Yep.
all
Cool.
right. Um, what what these are hard ones. What types of situations make you anxious or feel vulnerable?
Being asked to reveal my vulnerabilities.
Dodger.
No, I do not. I mean, good friends, close friends, um, no. And I'm not going to broadcast to
Okay,
widely.
so
Um,
this is not the venue for the. I mean,
no, no.
if this is still might be a good question sitting across a dinner table from somebody
Yes,
that
yes,
you like and respect.
yes. So situation, yeah. So I will say that in uh, new situations with new people, um, I am I appear comfortable. I appear at ease because I have practiced appearing
Hmm.
at ease until people don't know that I'm not. So at that point, it's not necessarily relevant if it's right,
Right,
because I
right.
have faked it till I made it. So, um, but that's, I think that's, yeah. So how
Yeah,
about
and
you?
I'll go a step into saying that um, uh, unknown unknown spaces full of strangers, and this is pretty common, right?
Mhm.
Um, still make me anxious, and part of it is there's a fight or flight responses kick in, and there's a where are all the exits and who's behind me, and you know that.
Well, yeah, that kind of anxiety though, I wasn't thinking of that as anxiety because I have this similar thing. I'm I'm more alert. Where are the exits? Can I see people's hands? Who's who's paying attention? Who's not? Who's trying not to appear that they're paying attention? All of those
Right, well, sure.
precursor indicators,
And I think
sort of
it's for
thing.
me, it's when the group or the room or whatever is too large for me to track those things, that's where the anxiety comes from.
Yeah.
And walking into a room with a dozen people, you know, a medium-sized room with a dozen people in it doesn't cause me any problem. But
Yeah.
in a uh, I don't know, if it's a this kind of a mosh pit sort of party, those freak me out.
Yeah. I was many years ago, we went to Taste of Chicago, which is there are food booths and there's a lot of people and it was hot and it was summer and way too crowded and you couldn't the crowd was moving, you were part of the crowd.
Hmm.
So I made my way to an ice cream booth and I got two double scoop cones on this very hot day and I turned around and I held them out in front of me. I said, ice cream coming through. And people were like, I felt like Moses parting the waters, People were getting out of my way because it was a mess. I was letting it drip on my hands and so on. Um, yeah, I remember my father telling me that he once went to Times Square for New Year's Eve.
Huh.
And he said it was terrible. He said, because you were moving, the crowd was moving, you had absolutely no control. Your feet were lifted
Oh,
off the ground. It's like, yeah, that I would not like that.
right. So that's remains something that I
Yeah.
feel anxious and vulnerable in situations like that. But I don't think that's uncommon.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm giving away any big
Yeah.
secret that's gonna, come back to at some
I'm
point. My
I'm
my
taking
enemies will learn
taking
my
notes.
Achilles heel.
Yeah, I'm
What?
taking notes.
Okay. Well, if you can get 1,000 people together in a 200 by 300-foot room, you can freak me out.
Don't underestimate me.
Okay,
Um,
go ahead.
what skill is the closest thing you have to a superpower?
I've always thought that I have a lucky first shot ability. That if I if I pick up it has happened to me more than once. I can pick up something. It's a beginner's luck
Hmm.
as a superpower, right? If I can
Interesting.
pick up something or try some skill or aim at something or whatever, my first try comes off great. As I keep doing it, then my actual skill comes to the fore.
I played bridge once, got the perfect hand. It was, I don't even remember the four no trump. No Trump. I
Okay.
like the sound of that. But I won that
Oh,
and it's like okay. I assume it gets more difficult after this. I'm done. So
it's all you guys were taking it easy on me, weren't you?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So that's if I had to say that's a thing,
yeah,
it's happened to me often enough that and the key to maintaining it as a superpower is walking away
yeah, yeah.
after the first shot.
Um,
What's next? What's next?
no, I have to answer.
Oh,
So
okay.
my brilliant wife would say I have parking charm that
Okay.
I more often than not will find a very close parking space. When it doesn't work, I have to park on Mars.
Okay.
But
So
I
it's not
don't,
infallible.
it's not infallible, but but I actually that's not my answer. Although it's pretty good
That's
fucking superpower.
be handy.
Um I can teach.
All right.
I can do a lot of things, but I think of teaching as a superpower. The really, really brilliant teachers I've had, I've tried to emulate, and I've gotten enough positive feedback from students who write me years later to think, you know, I can actually teach. And I think of teaching as a superpower. It's not
I
because you have to connect with people. You have to understand where they are. You have to understand how they need to learn and how there's so much involved in it. I that's my
well,
superpower if I've got one.
I I certainly agree that teachers are the heroes of our society. Good
Yeah.
teachers are the
Yeah.
heroes of our society. And I've told you on more than one occasion some years ago that this was your calling, that you
Mm.
finally you worked as a designer and as an art director and as a in the advertising business, and you missed your calling for a long time.
Um, yeah, yeah, I think, well, and I've told you this before, it was my intention coming out of college to be a high school art teacher. But before I got a teaching job, I got a technical illustration job, and that led
Hmm.
to the career in advertising. I did substituting, which is not great. And I think when I came back to teaching, I was better than I would have been when I started.
Well, you were also
Because,
teaching a thing you were quite expert in by
yeah,
that time.
yes. And I'd been teaching, I realized I'd always been teaching. I'd been teaching people who, colleagues, clients, people who reported to me, people who I've been teaching everybody,
Hmm.
always. And I find it's hard to turn that off too. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. How much do appearances affect your judgment?
A lot. I freely admit it
Okay.
that um but but because I believe that how one chooses to appear is a decision, and I don't, oh, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Well, if the book designed its own fucking cover, I can judge it. And
Yeah.
I think it's perfectly legitimate to judge how, I mean, you can judge to a certain level. It's a superficial judgment, but like I said, it's I believe that how someone chooses to present themselves is a decision they made, and I can judge that decision as good or bad.
Yeah, I was taking the question a little more broadly in that appearance I also agree about appearance as intentionality, but it can be appearance of a space, of a company, of a person, of a product, of
Oh, sure.
any
Yeah.
appearances. And as somebody who worked as a designer, yeah, those I worked to make certain that the appearance reflected the reality.
Hmm.
And when it comes to people, I make a distinction between a person's stylistic choices not being mine, and I don't let that choice affect my judgment. If somebody dresses in a style that or a, a way of presenting themselves that is intentional, but it's not what I would choose. I recognize the intention. I recognize the intention of presentation. And so that I make an effort not to let that affect me and to look past that and to hear what they're saying, hear how they are presenting themselves in ways other than visually.
Well, certainly, yes, certainly if I have the opportunity to interact,
Yes.
it's not, I'm not basing everything on that, but it's
Right.
certainly an element of what
Yes.
I will think of that individual as a whole.
Yeah, and I have actually when I taught portfolio classes, which I taught quite a lot, I would not only work with students on the content of their portfolios, but on their presentation,
Hmm.
how on their elevator pitch, on their how they present themselves, how they talk about themselves, how they their posture. How I taught young men how to tie a necktie, and I taught young
Yep.
men and women how to shake hands. And I made everyone in the portfolio class shake my hand until they got it right and look me in the eye. And I had for designers or creative, any kind of creative profession students, the rule was, my rule was, you get one thing that's
Sure.
a unique element. Like for me, is my hair.
Hmm.
But there was a young woman whose hair was bright fuchsia. I said, that's your thing,
That's your thing.
and I said, you get one thing. Everything else has to be, at least for now, as traditional, conventional, even in your dress as possible, because you have that one thing that distinguishes you as a creative professional visually, but you want to also appear professional. So you want to appear like, yeah, you're creative, but you're going to get the work done as well. So I would work with them on their presentation. But there are things like my style, your style is not the same as everyone else's. Our choices are not the same as everyone else's. They don't have to be. I don't need them to
No.
be. I want to see that somebody has their, again, it's a respect thing. Do they
Yes.
respect themselves? Do they respect the situation, the people they're with,
Yeah,
and so
there are lots of elements to it, and respect and self-respect is one of them.
on. Yeah.
If you don't take care in your appearance, I don't care how you're dressed, particularly. I mean, I mean that's an aspect, but I mean, if you are if you're slovenly, that's one thing. No matter what you're wearing, what elements of clothing you happen to be wearing, if it doesn't, if it looks like things don't match, or you slept in it, or as if you did not care how you presented yourself. To me, there's a fundamental, you're missing a component of, you've got to be out in the world interacting with people. If you're not considering that, who are you? What do
Yeah,
you?
and I'd give a counterexample or all flip the example. Don't show up to work at volunteer at a soup kitchen or work on building a Habitat for Humanity house in high heels and loafers and a suit, and you
Right.
know its appropriateness, I think,
And
is
self-awareness.
and
And
self-awareness.
and if and there's a, sort of the other, I wouldn't call it a spectrum so much as a matrix. If if you're dressing so flamboyantly, what how what superficiality are you trying to make up for
Mm.
by having to be the center of attention? What weakness are you think you're covering?
Yeah,
So there are lots of aspects, but yeah, so appearances make a difference to me.
yeah, yeah. I
And I
think,
think they're the first clue. They're not the whole
yeah,
story, but they're the first
yes,
clue.
they're the first clue, but they're not the
No,
only clue. Okay,
agreed.
yeah.
Um, what is you? This is funny. What is your favorite conspiracy theory, even if you don't believe it?
New Coke.
New,
So the Coca-Cola company intentionally changed their formula at one point to something they called New Coke. The cons and it lasted for a couple of months, and then they changed back. And then the formula for New Coke became Diet Coke. The conspiracy theory is that they intentionally did this to drive up demand for the original formula or to be able to reintroduce the original formula with cheaper ingredients and make more profit. Um, no, it was just, I've looked at how the decision was made and actually taught this as a case in classes that the executives blamed the researchers, the market researchers,
Okay. Of
said
course they did.
they didn't ask the right questions about how people felt about Coke. It turns out the researchers did ask the right questions. They did ask, how do you feel about Coke? And found there was extreme loyalty to
Hmm.
Coke. The executives chose to ignore that and said,
What a
yeah,
surprise.
we'll lose a certain market share, but we'll regain it. And then when it was a debacle, the executives blamed it on the researchers, right?
Of
Um,
course.
but the president, then president of Coca-Cola, said, "We're not. The truth is, we're not that dumb, and we're not that smart either." So debunking the conspiracy, and it was not a conspiracy. But that's one of my favorite. That's my favorite. It's not true conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Most of the
My
others are
favorite.
just stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And and to me, the most absurd is what makes it my favorite.
Yeah.
And my favorite one is that there is the race of lizard people living under the Antarctic ice cap.
Yeah.
I think that is absolutely delightful, and it's okay to me. It's like this is a fine conspiracy theory to believe because it has absolutely no effect on anything that goes around, unless you're of that particular sect of that conspiracy theory that lizard people are actually wearing human masks and running the world.
Well, there is that, and that ventures into an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
Does it really? I didn't know there was that connection.
there really is that tie-in with that.
See,
So
that just makes it more absurd.
yeah.
But
Um,
but the whole idea that there was this, and they're not like the way I've heard it, they're not aliens. They were a divergent evolutionary path,
yeah.
and how they how they got as lizards, how they survived Antarctica and long enough to get underground. Or no, wait a minute, no. Now I remember now. They existed before the axis change.
Oh, so
They were a thriving civilization when Antarctica was a subtropical continent. And then when the axis changed, uh, they got covered in ice, so they had to go underground to survive. And that's where they are now.
and pigeons are actually robotic spies from the planet Xenu. Actually, I think one of the I think Scientology is like one of it's so absurd. You know, the nuclear bombs in volcanoes and aliens from planet, and I mean it's just amazingly weird.
Yeah, well, amazing to me that anybody could buy into it. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
okay,
There are
whatever.
still flat earthers around, you know.
Yeah, but there's a part of me who's like, okay, how many of you people posting your flurfy BS are just trolling everybody?
Yeah, could
I,
be.
I got
Yeah.
to think that there's a large percentage.
Certainly could be. There's certainly people who don't think we went to the moon.
Yeah,
I had at least one student who said she thought it was ridiculous that her family didn't believe in dinosaurs, but she knew that we didn't go to the moon. So,
yeah.
yeah. If you could live in any fictional universe, which one would you choose?
Well, I certainly don't know every fictional universe, but
I think this
from
one, we're living in a fictional universe, you know.
are you one of the we're living in a simulation type of people? It's another
Yeah,
conspiracy theory.
no, I don't know.
I think if
I was somebody was talking about Um, it's a kind of related, sort of tangentially, that a student, fellow art student once said, art is pain. And I said, no, art is an object or experience created with intention to evoke thoughts or emotions, and it went on with that what definition of what art is. I said, this, however, is pain. And I punched him in the arm.
A practical demonstration.
Yes, yes. Said you wouldn't feel that in a simulation, or would you?
Oh,
So, yeah.
well, who knows?
So,
Me, I think of the sort of generally known and understood fictional universes, the Star Trek universe will be a pretty cool one to come from.
and that was my answer as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Specifically, like the next generation, but, um,
well, yeah, but
but
I mean,
yeah,
the universe is fairly consistent between
yeah,
the original series and the next
yep.
generation. It's
Um, they never elaborated completely on how they eliminated want and money, and certainly, um, the unlimited power
Mhm.
generation would go a long way to that, but that people could had the ability to pursue their interests.
Right.
And I think, yeah, that was my answer as well.
Yeah. Yeah. The idea
Yeah.
that if you, if there is no more resource scarcity
Yes.
ever, anywhere, people just have to agree to work together because you can't make anyone work for you.
Yeah. And you can't, um, if it's available to everyone, you can't hoard resources. You
Right? Or
can't,
you can, but what's the point?
yeah, because, yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was some question. Oh, I'd have this enormous, you could have an enormous house and 15 cars. Yeah, but you'd have to take care of it. You can't, nobody's going to take care of it for you. They got their own shit to take care of. So why
Yeah.
would you, why would you have a
Yeah.
big house that you just got to keep clean by yourself?
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, oh, so the follow-up question to that is kind of, almost a kind of an opposite question of the earlier one that was, which fictional, realistic human character, no superpowers, would you choose as a ride or die companion?
Yeah. Paladin from Have Gun Will Travel.
Okay.
So, um, Paladin, my favorite uh, Western hero, from the series Have Gun Will Travel, played by the incomparable Richard Boone. Uh, Post Civil War, West Point graduate. Um, Paladin is his nom de guerre. He
Hmm.
lives in a hotel in San Francisco. He's a bon vivant, wine connoisseur, ladies' man. He appreciates the opera and the theater, but he's also have gun, will travel. He solves problems for people, not necessarily by with his gun. He's not a hired gun. He's a problem solver, and he solves problems with his brains as often as with his fists or his guns. He's tough. He's smart. Um, and yeah, that's now certainly would be a man out of his time, depending on the time. But I think there have been talks of rebooting the series over the years, sometimes um, with in a modern setting. Uh,
Hmm.
I think the modern setting of it, though, so it's kind of a related answer. I think the Equalizer is the modern version of Paladin. Um, and I think the as much as I like the original TV series, and I've shame on me, I've forgotten the actor's name. Denzel Washington was terrific in that. But Paladin for me is a much more well-rounded Renaissance man than Robert McCall in the modern iteration
Yes,
of that.
I
So,
would tend to agree. And when I first read the question, I thought Reacher, Jack Reacher would be an interesting character. But as it happens, I settled on Robert McCall.
oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
um,
Um, yeah. Reacher would be interesting. And I thought about several others, but there are characters who survive and everybody else around them doesn't. So,
well, yeah.
they fall by the wayside. So,
Well, and part of the Reacher thing, when I talk about ride or die, to me, this is the person you call when shit is going to go bad, you need a backup, you know, it's not, I get Paladin as someone, can I be your sidekick? Can I carry your books for you? What,
well,
I mean, but somebody who I need to call, like, I need your help. And this they may turn into extra legal help.
yeah, Reacher would be good for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think,
Um, but
like you
Robert
said,
McCall would be good for the, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Reacher is a force of nature, certainly.
Yeah.
But like you said, people around him, I think he forgets how indestructible he is, and people around him get hurt.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the new season too.
Of Reacher, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that there is another Equalizer TV series
Yes, I've watched it too.
with Queen Latifah?
Yes, I
Yeah,
watched it and I think it's pretty good.
yeah.
I think
Well, I
it's pretty
like
good.
it's a
Yeah.
nice, or it's a at least it's an interesting. She's a single mother
Yeah.
and
With the
has to
yeah.
deal with her relationships and her family, and whereas the original Equalizer is just a loner, the kind of
Yeah.
loner
Yeah.
hero that you see 100 of.
I think it's an interesting iteration
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
the idea. Yeah.
I agree.
Um, what's a social norm you think should be challenged?
Work. I mean, I, work in its current sort of bourgeoisie, exploitative, capitalist.
Yeah, well, you're talking about the social norm of the economic system we live under, and it's being
Yeah,
challenged, and the Protestant work ethic, and so on, and all
yeah,
of that.
all that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, I said fashion. So we have both known people who look awkward in modern clothing,
Hmm.
but absolutely look like the best of themselves when wearing clothing from another historical era.
And
And so I would challenge that social norm of fashion. So
that is to say that you have to adhere to the modern
exactly,
norm of fashion. Okay.
exactly.
Well, there are plenty of people that do challenge that.
Yeah,
Um, I think fashion is like just like my thing is a social construct.
yeah.
I think in some ways, fashion helps build community in a way. I mean, prayer shawls and yarmulkes. Let's talk about that,
Well,
right? I mean,
yeah, but that's community, but that's not fashion. Those are religious articles, which is
yeah,
not the
but
same.
you talk
It's
some
not,
talk.
that's not the same as fashion. It's not the same as fashion. Religious vestments are not fashion in the sense that I'm using the word fashion.
Okay, but I am
Trendy,
using.
trendy, what's current, that sort of thing, conformity. I think conformity is what I really mean.
But are you going to suggest that religion does not require conformity?
No, I wasn't suggesting
Okay.
that. I'm saying fashion requires a certain conformity. You see people being nonconformists all in the same way. They're all nonconforming in the same way, wearing the same
Oh, you mean
things
like a goth subculture, counterculture
or
type of way?
anything, or yeah. So, I mean, I understand the need for community and for belonging. I understand that clothing can give certain cues to people that say you're a member of this group.
Right.
You are part of this group. You belong to this group. You accept it. But
Now, if you're talking about now, I I can come, I think I can stand next to you when it comes to things like high fashion and the fashion industry. Is that what you're
yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
Okay.
Saying this season's color is, and
Right.
this
Yeah.
year everybody's wearing this, and this year it's like
Okay.
no. For I hate the waste. I hate the triviality of it. I admire the skill of designers and what they can do. Although some designers really seem to, they don't make the clothing about people, they make it about themselves. The
Yeah.
people are
Right.
irrelevant to it. So, and that's so I think why do people dress the way they do? Um, why? Well, it's a certain amount of conformity, and so anyway,
A certain amount, and I think we agree in the basics of it that a certain amount of but I think a certain amount of conformity is good. In
it
if we
depends
are
what you are conforming to. Are you conforming to societal norms of courtesy, of behavior, of the virtues that we talk about? Okay, yeah.
and
But
I
if it's only the appearance that's important, then there's a problem. That goes back to how somebody's appearance, and how they present themselves.
right, and I look at it also that it just the way we talk about formal attire, for instance,
Hmm.
if it's a way for you it's protective coloration in some
Yeah,
ways.
yeah.
Following a fashion can be useful to someone who couldn't otherwise choose how to present themselves, what to wear.
Okay.
And I think your point about people who look awkward or somehow unbalanced or mismatched or whatever in modern clothing, if they have a template to go by in a period fashion, they can adopt it, they can copy it and mimic
Hmm.
it. When not given that template, when not given here's a silhouette that you need to achieve, they're at a loss. They're
Yeah, but I also think that people are drawn to certain historical styles more than others.
okay, okay.
And so that I think, why can't somebody walk down the street wearing Elizabethan clothing? Well, it's kind of impractical in the modern world,
Yeah.
but why can't I wear a sword walking down the street, you know?
Conversation starter.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we both know people who adopt a fashion of 50 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. And it looks
And
good and they're suited to it and it
sure,
it
right.
really works.
And part of it, though, that's not so far outside the norm
Right.
that they might get a second look, but that's all. People aren't
Yeah.
going to think they're nuts.
Yeah. I
So,
actually make a point when I see somebody who, particularly a man who's very well put together, very well dressed, that I'll say, "Sir, you are very well put together," and
yep,
compliments to
same,
you. I will do that.
likewise. I
I'm more hesitant to do that with women because I don't want out of respect, I don't want somebody to take it as a untoward commentary, but
Well, I agree. And I will, however, if I see a woman who is, in my estimation, I think wearing some kind of a statement piece,
mhm.
I will compliment that.
Yeah, I may
Say,
say
I
great shoes
like those
or
shoes. That
yeah,
hat works for you. And
yeah,
then,
something
and
like
then
that.
not strike up a conversation,
Keep
right?
going.
Just
Yep,
say it, thumbs up, on your way.
yep, yep, exactly.
Yeah, and I think
So,
that's good. I think that's good societal.
yeah.
I think that's a good
Well, it
societal
makes
norm.
people feel better. Yeah.
Sure. Right. You
So
get
what's this?
recognized because you made a decision. You made a
Yeah,
choice, and I appreciate your choice.
yeah. What's a social norm you think should be challenged?
I gave mine first. Mine was the whole work.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay. Um,
Is this my turn?
yeah, I think it's your turn.
Okay. If you could declare a new holiday, what would it recognize or celebrate?
So I thought about this a lot, and there is there are holidays for almost everything.
Yeah. Yep.
They're not, they're not big national holidays, but almost everything has a holiday. So instead, I'll say March 21st annually is National Common Courtesy Day.
Hmm. All
And I
right.
think that should be celebrated more, no matter what all those dumb fuckers think.
Yeah, and the rest of you guys can suck it.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, that's good. That's actually pretty good. Um, I and I started looking. I'm kind of with you. I started looking at what holidays there already are, and
I
well,
started
that
with
one's still
what holidays I would make, and turns out they exist.
they're there.
So, yeah.
Um, what I might suggest is instead of answering the question just the way it is, but what existing holiday would you make a national paid holiday? How about that? That isn't already.
Oh, that's a good question. Election day for me.
Okay.
I would make election day a national holiday and um absolutely I would do that so that people can vote. Um yeah.
And I would agree with that. I would get right behind that.
Yeah.
We talked about this. I'd rearrange the whole thing and make it a voting an electoral week.
Yeah, it is an effectively or a month in a lot of places with
Early
early
voting and
voting and vote by mail and so on.
but
So,
I would say that just so that it doesn't or maybe your suggestion may be less of a disruption, but I would say this week you can pick some number of hours
yeah.
and get paid to go vote
Yeah.
by whoever your employer is. They have to pay you
Yeah.
to go do your civic duty.
I saw a proposal for making a regularized calendar where every month has the same number of days, and at the end of the year, there's a holiday week that
Holiday.
holiday.
Hmm.
And I
And then you tweak the length of that holiday every 4 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
I said the only problem with that is the first is always a Sunday, and the days are always the same. So if your birthday falls in the middle of the week, it's always going to fall in the middle of the week. Stuff like that. So um
Well, who says you got to celebrate your birthday on the actual day?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I agree. Um
Oh, yeah, your turn.
so what is your favorite joke?
Well, this is a dangerous one. My favorite joke, or the one I tell most often, is a too long of a story to tell here, but it has to do with an Irishman who finds a skull in his farm. It's my favorite joke to tell, partly because I get to do a horrible Irish accent for most of
Oh,
it. So,
okay. You'll have to tell it to me
no,
sometime. I don't think
I,
I
I,
ever did.
if you haven't heard me tell it, I'd be really surprised. But
I have, but I probably uh
okay.
shut it out of my memory. So
And you
um
have you got,
so
can you narrow it down to one favorite joke?
yeah, so that was really tough. I've told you this story before that place I was working once, the people who reported to me consistently showed up late to the morning status meeting. And so I said, well, here's the deal. I'm going to start this meeting precisely on the hour. And the first thing I'm going to do is tell everybody a guy walks into a bar joke. And I'm going to tell everybody it's going to be a different one for every day of the year. If you are late, you miss that day's guy walks into a bar joke, and nobody else is allowed to tell you. And you will forever miss out on that particular joke. And it increased on-time attendance,
Mm.
which I thought, oh, it's a stupid enough idea to work. It did work. So I picked one of the thousands
Yeah,
of
right.
guy walks into a bar jokes, and there's so many. Um, a bartender says, "We don't serve time travelers in here." A time traveler walks into a bar.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Would you rather be an expert? I'll go further. Would you rather be the recognized expert at one thing, or would you rather be pretty good at a lot of different things?
so that's a bit of a rewording from what you said.
Yeah,
You
it
said
is.
rather be an expert at one thing or pretty good at many things. My life, I think, would have been easier if I was content to only be an expert at one thing, to pursue one thing with a single-minded focus. I have never been able to do that. I've pursued many things with
Hmm.
single-minded focus while I'm doing it. The thing that I'm working on is the thing that I am completely working on. And then I'm working on something else that I'm completely working on. Consequently, I'm not just pretty good at many things. I'm really damn good at a lot of things. And um and that's the way that's the way I'm made, and that's the
Hmm.
way I want it. And that's for me, it's not just my inclination. My that was what I always thought was the goal. Again, I want to have dinner with Leonardo da Vinci. The Renaissance man is
Hmm.
for me the goal, the paladin, the that kind of character, that kind of person who's good at a lot, not just okay at it, but good at a lot of things. That the complete saying is a jack of all trades is a master of none, but still often better than a master of one.
Yes.
And that's what I think about. I did occur to me when I was thinking about this that there is a thread of commonality that connects all the different things that I have pursued from that I pursued with trying to be excellent,
Some passion.
some passion, well, and skill, and trying to learn
Hmm.
skill from design and painting and writing and acting and martial arts and other things. Um, it's all for me about creating art and storytelling.
Hmm.
And so visual storytelling, written storytelling, teaching is I teach through storytelling. Um, the martial arts is is that's a really interesting variation on it because it's the story I'm telling. I'm inhabiting the story. I'm being part of the story. It's being part of my story. That I I visualize. I create scenarios to practice visualization in technique. Um, so for me, there's a thread that connects all of these things, and that expertise, that single thing, has many manifestations, and that's the way I look at it.
Hmm. For me, and excuse me, I'm with you in that I have chosen to be pretty good at a lot of things. Um, I mean, I've gotten good enough at a couple of things to make a living at it, but I've never, but it was, there's nothing that interests me sufficiently to exclude everything else,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of what it comes down to. And the it's an interesting that you tie them together with a thread like that. For me, it's always just been I want a thing or I want an experience, and the only way to get it is to do it myself.
Yeah.
I have to learn how to do it myself. So,
It was interesting that the I was thinking about this. The Sifu at my dojo is he does martial arts.
mhm,
That is what he does.
right.
That is what he has done for his entire life since he was a child. He is an expert in multiple forms, but it's all martial arts, and that's all he does. And he advocates a single-minded focus on a thing to become an expert at it. And I said, this my single focus is this thread, but it has multiple iterations
Hmm.
and different things. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have done this and I wouldn't have done that. And I've done these things well. But how much better it would be if you only did what, well, yeah, I understand that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And like
but
I said, it's for me, it's about I don't like to be, I don't like to be bad at anything I'm doing. So I will at least pursue it long enough until I feel competent. And then I might lose interest.
mhm.
But I'm looking to become competent enough to satisfy the need that I had to do it in the first place. Like water skiing, for instance. Just take that as a skill or skiing in general. Well, you spend a lot of time learning how to ski without enjoying it at all.
Well, that's true for a lot of things.
Yeah. So so you have
Unless you enjoy learning.
well, yeah, nobody enjoys getting water up their nose for 3 hours every day for water skiing, right? So but yeah, I think the enjoyment comes from getting a little better.
Yeah.
You get that endorphin hit of, oh, I stayed up for a minute this time or whatever. But I pursued it long enough to get good enough to enjoy it.
Okay.
And then I continued to do it, but but as long as I was enjoying it, I didn't feel this driving need to become a professional at it. I didn't have to be great. I just needed to be good enough to enjoy it.
Okay.
And that's true with a lot of other crafts or skills or whatever that I've acquired is that I don't need to be an expert. I don't need to be commercially successful at it. I just need to be good enough at it to achieve either the artifact I wanted in the first place or the the skill. I've managed to get enough skill to enjoy continuing to do it.
Okay.
Like even the martial art that we do. I mean,
Mm.
I'm pretty good. I'm demonstrably better than many,
Yeah.
but it's not. But I don't feel a driving need to be the very best. I just need to be good enough to satisfy myself.
Yeah.
And that was that took a little that did take more time, partly because I continued to enjoy it. I
Yeah.
the better I got, the more I enjoyed it.
It's being able to enjoy the process of learning when you're not very good is uh I think is a useful skill.
Right? Yeah, not everybody
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
was that our that's our last question?
No, no, no.
No? Yeah.
Um,
Oh, no, you're right.
describe each other in 3 words, two positive, one negative.
This is a good party game if
Yeah.
you really trust the people you're with.
Yeah.
Okay, so am I going first?
Uh, sure.
Set the tone.
Yeah.
All right. So you, in 3 words, uh, erudite, kind, and snobbish.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I, I like to think I'm erudite. I'm well read. I think I am inclined to be kind to people. I think that depends on your definition of snobbish, but I certainly have high standards and I'm constantly disappointed by all the hoi polloi who don't live up to them. So maybe that does make me a snob. I know we were at a wedding of a coworker many years ago, and there was a bottle of white wine and a bottle of red wine on the table, and we opened the red wine, and it was undrinkable. It was terrible. So we thought, well, the white wine can't be too bad. So we opened the white wine. It was actually really terrible.
Even
So
worse.
yeah, so um she got a gin and tonic and I got a beer. I mean, it was because it was, and we looked at each other. Well, yeah, we're wine snobs. Yeah. But I prefer to think of it as standards. So
I'm sure you
yeah,
do.
yeah. Okay.
I think every snob just thinks of themselves as a very discerning.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't, and certainly I don't think it's such an incredible personality flaw that can't associate with you, clearly.
Well, it's because I'm also kind to those who fail to
Right,
meet my snobbish standards.
well, and your erudition, of course, leads you to knowledge that
Yeah.
makes one thing obviously better than another.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool.
All right, now do me.
Okay. Maker, doer, unambitious.
Oh, that's entirely fair. I I'm not even sure unambitious I don't find unambitious particularly negative, but that's that's how
You
okay I
wouldn't.
am with
Um, yeah, I mean, we've known each other for more than 40 years.
it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well,
And yeah, and even, I practically demonstrated that with my last answer with the unambitious things. Like I don't need
yeah,
to be the best. I just need to be good enough to enjoy myself, and that's
yeah,
all, and I'm
yeah,
done. So,
yeah. It kind of tied right into that. So
all right. Well, I think
this
this was
is,
fun.
yeah, I agree. This was really good. Um,
And I think we will eventually, I think we will certainly come up with a couple of new topics
based
out of
on,
this.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Um, so thank you very much. Please like and follow. Please share this with other people and ask yourself and your friends, play this as a game as well. I can post the questions.
Yeah.
Um, in
Yeah.
the description of the episode. And
Next time you're sitting around, just pick one question and go around the horn with
yeah,
everybody there.
exactly. I think it was a good mix of questions from, yeah, I think it was really, really good. Um, so until we see you next time, be thou
A good night.
and true.